Well, hello, hello, hello. This is Happy Valley Hobbies, and these are hobbies that make me happy. Sorry for the late start and all that. S- you know, life happens and all that fun stuff. Uh, here I am, and thank you for everyone coming in. We've had Wigwag Valley workshop. I guess Gets the Cookie was here first. Uh, Basically, it was here when I was setting up the computer. Let's see. Valley's 56 is also here. So is Hot Dog Pilot Andy, one of the British uh, viewers that I have. You and he's very late at night. Uh, Yeah, leveling the layout's very important because, well, you wind up with unintentional grades. But also, Rail Artist is here. John Blanacki. I think that's all the. Still check the participants. Yeah, I do believe I got everyone. All right, let's change the top chat to the live chat. We'll add. All messages. There we are. Now I got the phone on there, so now there's an extra person watching everything. Had a very nice weekend. I mean, it wound up getting. Oops. Had a very nice week. Should turn off the sound off the phone. One I wound up going to is one of my favorite hobby store, Milepost Hobbies in north of Amsterdam, New York. And wasn't really planning on getting anything, but did wind up getting a Bockler steam locomotive, mostly for parts because a lot of the stuff was, some of the important stuff was missing, like the drive shaft. The front pilot was also banged up and all that, but it's one of those things of I bought it for parts. But I also wound up getting this, which is a very important book for the time frame that I'm aiming for. It talks about everything from actual individual, not only individual manufacturers, but also details like boilers, how the smokestacks work, different styles of smokestacks. So really happy on getting this, and I've already taken some looks at it to a lot of it's like different line drawings. And here's one about this is how the smokestacks at that time would work. Yeah, there's Rogers. There's Norris. Norris was a very well-known early manufacturer. There was West Point. It didn't make many. They didn't make many, but they were one of the first ones that were there. I mean, chapter 3 is just with, just with locomotive builders. Norris was actually bigger than Baldwin for the longest time, and then they wound up going out of business. Here's the thing for early estimated production numbers, which I'm not quite sure how well that's going to show up on this. But yeah, the lightest is lightening it out. So maybe we should go to the other camera. Settings. Go to the other camera. All right, we are now to the other camera. Here's the locomotive I wound up getting. It's missing the drive shafts, missing the steam dome, and the front pilot is crushed. But as I said, I bought this mostly for parts, so I'm not too concerned about it. But let's see if I can refine that page. How does this look? Not the best. But this is showing Baldwin. By 1900, they were doing 1217. Norris, they were doing, let's see, in 1855, they were actually almost 1.5 times as much as Baldwin. But as you can see, by 1870, they just stopped producing. I'm not sure, I forgot the reason why they went out of business, but basically when Norris went out, Baldwin picked up on it and went from there. Here's Rogers. Yeah, 1900 was 170. That was their highest one. Hinckley, Hinckley and Schenectady, they started a little bit later and all that, but looked like their highest number was 70, which was 1875. Then they went out of business. Schenectady, they were up to 415, and these are all the other builders, which look like all the other builders combined almost just barely surpassed Baldwin in 1800. But yeah, it's one of those things of I'm definitely still have to go through it. Goes like different components like the injectors, water feed pumps, different styles of stacks and how they worked. Grates, fireboxes. So there's a lot of stuff to go that's in this that's going to be interesting to read on all the itty bitty details. Speaking of itty bitty details, I need the phone. The book. Yeah, the book actually, it still has the sticker on it. I only paid $5 for it. The hobby shop does have I want to say at least an aisle just for books that people give out or donate and all that. Yes, it's definitely a bargain. But it's going to be looking through the whole thing and all that. I did work on the bridge a little bit off camera. As you can see right now, basically I got the top to do. I finished completing covering up the sides here and these edges here, but I got turn around and do some trimming on the top and on the bottom, and then put on the top and I'm going to be done and ready to finish the and start back on the. Hold on one second. I don't have it quite with me, but I do. I do have it next to me. The diorama that this is going to go on. So let's say we finish this up. I'll start with trimming the bottom here. So we'll trim this portion because this will be going either the abutments or the bridge abutment or the trestle vent. Because for those who don't remember what the diorama has is that one side has basically up to a regular abutment. Then this actually goes over a canal, and then on this side it's going to be basically 2 or 3 bent trestle before it reconnects to the to the ground, so to speak. Other interesting things that I did today was wound up having a Easter brunch, and the event was held at a former workplace of mine. I used to work for the Edison Tech Center, which, well, I say it was a museum, but they were trying to say that it wasn't a museum. It was more of a, forgot exactly. It was a education center with historical items. And I'm like, that's the definition of a museum. But they were unfortunately evicted from the location, even though that they owned it. I don't know the full details, but it seems that the city pulled eminent domain on it and then whisked it away. And then now it's half apartment buildings and half a wedding venue. And yeah, when I walked in, I actually didn't recognize a lot of the places on the inside because they went and they removed walls, took out bathrooms, changed a lot of things. And caught up. I was invited by an old friend of mine, who apparently has been engaged to be married for a while, and didn't say anything, which it's one of those things I happen to realize that, yeah, it's like she has, normally she calls and tells me what's, complains about something, but she seemed to be very happy today, so I guess she had nothing to complain about, so that's why she didn't call me. But then, I was like, hey, since I'm usually by myself, are you interested in hanging out and all that? And I said, sure. So I met her fiance, very big and quiet guy. it's one of those things of you assume that in high school they played basketball. Um, okay, now for the fun part. I'm going to trim these off. Now these I think have to be trimmed off at an angle. Well, let's try straight across first. And unfortunately, once a month I have a appointment with a masseuse. Unfortunately, she is not feeling very well, so she has taken some time off. Okay, let's go. Yeah, let's go this way. All right, start there. Start there. Get that off. And then this side. Hello there, Eugene. Thank you for coming in. I've had a very nice week. Yeah, actually, the whole week's been interesting. On the job front, it's been sort of kind of annoying that I was told that them not being hired on because of being slow and all this, that, and etc. And then this Monday, the plant supervisor for the second shift turns around, gives me some paperwork and says, "Here, fill this out so we can hire you on full time." I'm like, "Hey, what? Okay." So got the paperwork done, had the doctor check me out, doing all this stuff and all that. Hello there, Randall. And from there, I don't know. Friday was my last day as a temp, and tomorrow I start as a real full-time employee. Yes, thank you. It was totally unexpected. I sort of gave up on it. It was like, all right, well, if you don't want me on full-time, whatever. And I'm thinking it had nothing to do with my performance, mainly because I wasn't the only one. I wasn't the only temp that was hired on. A whole bunch of us temps were hired on, and doing all the paperwork, getting tested, weighed, and all the important details. And so my assumption is that maybe they were waiting for the quarter to come out and that and etc. Because they also they have recently put up a bunch of a bunch of ads saying that, hey, we're now hiring. So that is what my assumption is. that they just at the time they just didn't have they didn't think they had the funds to hire on more people, but now they're hiring more people on. Let's see. Yeah, I've got to make 4 of these, but it's basically now I got one less thing to worry about. The only major thing to worry about right now is the landlords in the process of trying to sell the apartment complex. So I do not know where that's going, as I was planning on starting a garden, but don't know if the new landlord will be up for that. So that looks like it might be too small. All right, let's make this flat again. Yeah. That's the problem. So first get this small. It's hard to maneuver them without disturbing them. Alright, let's see now. How well can we put that there? See how well I can put that off. Alright. That's for this side. So let's grab some glue. Grab a toothpick. And then off the right there. And here. I'll take these itty bitty pieces. Hopefully this works right. Put that there, that down. All right. Oop, forgot this. Now, didn't forget. Didn't do a good job of it. It's more accurate. All right. So we come over here and trim this. Trim this straight across. Oops. All right, let's see if we can. Nope, not through it yet. There we go. Okay, now that we got that relatively straight, let's see about figuring out how this is going to work. That is going to be a tricky. Yeah, that's going to be a very tricky angle. Because not only do you have an angle from the top to bottom, but also this angle, the angles on the sides. Of course, it doesn't help that every time I move the correct spacers that they bounce. Well, let those dry. And I'll trim the other side, and then maybe I figure something else by the time I'm done. Ooh, my fingernail, not through it. Same thing on this side, which seems to be just as thin. And the other side, I went a little oversized, just to making sure I had enough room, but not do it on this side. All right, now for this side, I'm gonna need another one of these. All right, it's done that way. This right there. Just that. And then there's a corner. And then there's this to duplicate it on this. Okay, now with these, since they're inside, don't need to stain them. You can see some things I've stained on the inside that I didn't need to. And there's also spots that mostly on the bottom, you can see that I should have stained some of the bracing and all that. But I'll get to that probably much later. Okay, there's that. Do this. Of course, the glue gets stuck in the wrong position, but okay. Now to figure out what to do. Yeah, we'll have these over the top. Put them way over the top because then I can trim them to size. Let's flatten this out, square it up. Well, good thing I did go with 3 because I don't think I'm going to have enough with 2. So from I'm going to measure from here, it's the longest part, to here. Give it a millimeter or two extra. Nice line that way. We'll square it off here. And we'll grab our last piece. And let's see. Duplicate that. Okay, will this fit on the other side? Yeah, it'll fit on the other side, so we'll make two more of these. So, does anyone else have also has good news to share with everybody? Let's see. Let's trim this to the angle. Nice, Andy. 30 years. I'm assuming it was a relatively happy 30 years? Nice, fellas. I'm hoping the same thing with this happens, but I am doing uncharted territory. If things go awry, I might have to turn around and put this off and buy more wood. Yeah, I never found the right woman, so I can only assume when it comes to marriage. But I have met some very happily married couples. I've also come across some couples that I'm surprised why they're still happy, because they've been through everything. And I know some couples that's like, how did they get together? The way I look at things now is that um, I mean, maybe in my younger years, it's like, looking for the right package, not necessarily what's inside the right package. Actually, the woman I met up with today, she was someone when I first saw her, I was like, oh my god, great. 42 in November. Congratulations, John. But after a while, I came to the conclusion that we would drive each other nuts, because some of the finer details just unfortunately would not line up, or did not line up good for both of us. So I don't know about her fiance, but to be honest, I have never seen her smile for that long a time. So I'm assuming she's been, or they're pretty good. He also smiled also, although he did not want to take a picture with the Easter Bunny. He wound up taking a picture, him and apparently a friend of his was there, but he did not want to take a picture with the Easter Bunny. Uh-oh. Are they strong storms or what I call nice storms? They're the ones that are like light rain. It's like just, it makes things makes it miserable, but not necessarily. Oh, hello there, Dave. But not dangerous. Just makes everything. Just makes the outdoors where you don't want to be outdoors. Unless you're some of these strange people that like thunderstorms. This does not seem to be cutting. I don't know if it is. It's very, very slow. Ooh. Yeah, that's definitely not a nice storm. Okay, that finally went through. Oh, that broke too much. Let's see, can we save it? Right, we might be able to save it. We'll just say it added character to it. So we can re-glue it. That is, it didn't completely break in half. There's like a couple of strands that are holding on. Let's try with this side. Let's try it this way, so hopefully we don't break it off. Well, that's good. Less wild storms are usually good. Remember years ago, seeing a YouTube video that says train versus tornado, and it's one of those things that go like, there's a good chance that the train may not be the winner in this one. And apparently, it was a crew that had forgotten to turn off the rear. Uh, the locomotive in the rear had its camera left on, and the wind is getting the trees are shaking and all that, and all of a sudden the trees just go flat. Um, and the interesting thing is you hear the front train actually blowing for the crossing. And according to the story, is that there was somebody that was unexpected, but it seemed to work. Okay then. This needs a little bit more glue because this is very wobbly. All right, let's see. How do these fit on here now? Let's say they fit presentable. But yeah, the blowing for a crossing and then wildly blowing the horn and all that. And apparently somebody in a car in this storm apparently was trying to outrun it and decided, just go in front of the train, not really, not sure if they weren't paying attention or, they they had more important things to be thinking of. Um, let's throw in some barn red. And then all of a sudden, you see the trees in the background go, pretty much flat. And then you just see the entire train sort of go sideways and fall off the tracks. And there was a whole, looks like there was like a whole bunch of, I want to say empties, or there seemed to be a lot of empties. And then, it's like, I want to say good 20 cars are just rolled right over. And you hear the locomotives go into emergency, and they pretty much stop because, well, there's nothing, they have nothing behind them. There's no momentum. And then all of a sudden you see this tank car in the distance sort of bouncing along, because it's, basically going at speed, bouncing off the ties. And it gets closer and closer and closer. And for people who are eagle-eyed, happen to realize that it has one of those triangles saying, it's like, saying that, hey, there's, stuff that is nasty in this car. And it just keeps on bouncing, and then all of a sudden it winds up hitting the locomotive, and then all of a sudden you see the cars coming up and piling behind it and all that. Just one car right after another, bang, bang, bang. But it's like, and it took a while before they stopped banging. Okay. And these over here. Take these out to dry. And we'll sort of rinse and repeat for the other side. You just have to realize I didn't cut them yet, trim them yet, so these are going to be a lot more drier when I put them on. Flip over. All right, let's take these. I'm going to throw a bunch of glue on this. First, we'll put glue on this to keep this from waddling away. All right, that should keep that from moving. Now, let's see. Put this down. Make sure this is angled nicely. So it's like that. Now to glue the other one on. Now I put this up here. Move that across. All right. Definitely not perfect. There's a lot of seeing stuff in there. But for a first attempt at a covered truss bridge, I'm going to go with it. Again, do trim the sides without hitting the other, so that can glue. Now I have seen covered truss bridges. Usually there's not an overhang on this, so I might have to trim this, but there's usually an overhang for the top part. Well, my whole week was interesting. For a while there, I sort of kind of gave up on, since they turned around and said that the company wouldn't hire me on full time because, they had slight issues with me being too slow and all this, that, and etc. And then on Monday, the plant manager of the second shift hands me paperwork and says, "Here, fill this out. And you have a doctor's appointment tomorrow to be checked out and become a real employee." And I'm like, okay. It wasn't, no real warning, because as I said, I sort of kind of gave up on becoming a real employee. And then found out that it seems that all the temps that have been there long enough was going through the same process. So my assumption, it had nothing to do with my performance. It had to do if the company was able to afford hiring on the temps. Because once they hire on the temps, not only do we get a raise, but we also now we're on their insurance and a lot of other interesting perks. So my assumption is it had nothing to do with I was good enough to that I was to be there, but I guess they wanted to make it sure that they actually had money to support all the new temps. There's at least 3 people that I know that went from temp to permanent. I don't, and that was only for the plant that I'm in. There's multiple plants, so I do not know if there's other ones. Which makes it now, since I'm now going to start tomorrow is my first day as a real employee. If there are, if there's layoffs or thoughts of layoffs, they usually go with the temps first. But since I would no longer be a temp, I would not have to sort of worry about that detail. Now I come over here. Yeah, the sort of top section I'm not the most confident in, but if I take off my glasses and look at it from 6 feet away, you shouldn't notice anything. The fit and finish of the last pieces are not as nice as everything else because of all the angles. But when I send pictures of this bridge to Rick Hunter from Hunterline, I'm gonna throw in some of the links of the build process, and I'm going to turn around and show him that, hey, this is what I did. I'm assuming his wife will be able to improve on this. And since he also has the drawings on this, he could probably, make improvements also. Also, do operations where it's like with and without the bracing covers. And one thing on this is like wound up trimming here, which means this is not stained, but it's easily corrected. Stick them in there. Dip and dip. And those are now colored. Now, did wind up getting stain on the bottom, but I look at it this way, no one's going to see that portion. This is not a contest model. And the last thing to do is, once this glue dries, trim this piece off. And also maybe trim this. Especially since that broke off a little bit. Turn around, I almost forgot which side was the crooked one. Okay, so this is the front. I'm just going to see this specific area, because this will be behind, but might as well do my best to cover it up. But yeah, it's like everything. I would have to say, turning this kit into a covered truss bridge, it was. I want to say the normal, pretty much the base part, putting on the trusses themselves and all that. That was pretty easy. Putting the siding on was also easy. It's basically the hardest part was the actual covering, in my opinion. But yeah, they said, pretty much all I had to do is just trim the ends here once everything is all nice and dry. Actually, before we go too nuts, or it gets too dry, so we turn around and cover up this seam. So this side is not great. So put that on there. Oh, that's definitely more solid now. Let's see. I'm surprised that this that the lower one is actually more solid than the top. Would not expect that, because the top has more surface area to contact to. Or maybe it has worse contact. It's just, I'm assuming that it has better, because it should have better. But don't know. Yeah, Randall, I would have to say when it comes to storms, usually by the way the crow flies is probably the more accurate distance. Because last time I checked, storms don't use roads; they make their own. Okay, so, and this is going to be the viewing angle. really have anything to mark it as the front. We need something sort of kind of temporary. Let's use that as an indicator of what the front is. And I could just simply just slice that off later on. But yeah, I do believe I'm pretty much done with this. And it's ready to install once it's dried, and as I said, these are trimmed. Let's see, what is the time? It is now 8 o'clock. So it is time for Sidetrack Sunday. Who's on Sidetrack Sunday today? For some reason, I'm thinking DB Tech. Am I correct on DB Tech? Or was that? No, that was last week. Who was it? Who was it this week? Well, time for shaky cam. All right. Back to the front cam, head cam. Well, thank you, John and Valleys. Rainbow Bell. All right. Well, if anyone is heading for Sidetrack Sunday, I will see everyone there. So I think the world needs more love. So find your passion. Oh, I was wondering what that was. So find your passion. Add some silliness to it and spread it around. Good night, everyone.